All right, let's get to it, guys. So we'll do some decision week stuff as it relates to Jalen and his contract. Sixers lose, but let's start with the Phillies. Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski spoke yesterday. We'll get to that audio shortly. But let's sort of wrap up the offseason, because today is the last day of the Phillies offseason. Tomorrow is not the regular season, but tomorrow they go to Florida. I mean, some of them are already there. Pitchers and catchers tomorrow, select players over the next couple of days, and then all the players within a few. So today at 215-592-9494, I'll ask you to assess the Phillies offseason. I will say this. I was flummoxed, stunned, and kind of disappointed, frankly, when James about 2 weeks ago gave them an F. I think it's absurd. I'd give them a C. I'm disappointed they didn't do more, but I'm also not out of my mind over it. I mean, I think they have a shot to win the World Series. I think they should make the playoffs. I expect big things from the Phillies. Obviously, they need to play better in October. I wish they had done better in this offseason. You know, I think the big thing is I just wish there was a better bat. Whether you define that as no Bader or whether you define that as still Bohm or the combination, to me, the frustration lies in not having a better bat in your top four and just a better overall lineup. With that said, I think the Phillies are well positioned for an outstanding year. And there's no way I'd go as far as to say a team gets an F when they, did some of what they did, including signing Kyle Schwarber. I'll take your phone calls today at 215-592-9494. As we put a bow in this offseason, obviously they lost Ranger and some other stuff. How do you assess what they did, what they didn't do, and how you feel about it? Now let's go to James and give him an opportunity here. He's the one that threw down the gauntlet about 2 weeks ago and said an F. James, floor is yours. Why an F?
Yeah, another day of Joe defending the Phillies when they...
I gave him a C. I didn't give him an A.
Yeah, you gave him a grade that they don't deserve.
Okay.
They did... So you are talking like, your argument is, well, they signed Kyle Schwarber and JT. It's all about where they are at the time. This Phillies team had the most important offseason of this run, of this group, of this era. And they got worse notably worse this offseason. The pitching is worse. The lineup is worse. I don't know how you could look at this as anything other than a failure. This was the offseason where they were set up with guys in their 30s to make a run, and they added Adolis Garcia. That's it. And Justin Crawford, who is 22 years old. We don't know if Zach Wheeler is going to be anything. We have no idea what Zach Wheeler is going to be. We have no idea what Aaron Nola is going to be. You're acting like, well, they're a good team, and they're a fine team. But they had an opportunity this offseason to make a run for a World Series, and they got further away from it. And the Dodgers got better. I don't know how you could look at this offseason as anything but a failure. Yes, they could have let JT and Schwarber go. Okay, maybe that might have been smart. With the way they decided to do it this offseason, it almost feels like from a roster building perspective, they took the worst possible path by just running it back. They actually ran it back. They ran it back.
No, they ran it back.
We went into the offseason saying, no matter what we know, at least they won't run it back. Because they can't. Because they can't.
I didn't say that.
Adolis Garcia, man. Was as bad as Nick Castellanos the last 2 years. That was their signing. What are we talking about here? How is this anything but an F? This is like an F minus. It was a horrendous offseason.
All right, couple of things.
But the fact remains, we are spending like the big boys. I am very frustrated with where this baseball team sits because it does feel like we didn't get better enough. It feels like
we got
the
worse,
same.
John. We got worse.
We lost Ranger, a guy who's been in the program since he was 16 years old. So that hurts. Not only just we've seen how great he is, how versatile he is, but we love them on top of it. That hurts emotionally so much.
I agree.
But I think let's be reasonable about this. We're spending the third or fourth most in all of baseball. Zach Wheeler, we're paying him $42 million this year, and he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. That's a major worry. I look at the starting rotation, and I'm thinking, hold on, is Taiwan really going to be? Is Taiwan
in the
4?
beginning?
Is Taiwan our 4?
He's the 5, but he's the swing guy until they
is our 5.
Until they put
and we
him
have
out.
no idea if Painter's going to hold up. This rotation feels thin. And it feels like an unknown for all respect, for all I know, with Zach Wheeler, the thoracic outlet syndrome stuff. He's coming back, but we don't know exactly when.
Right.
So we got to
Aaron
stay
Nola's
that up.
coming off a 6 ERA, by the way.
I get it.
Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
Well, like, what is Nola going to be? Has Nola gotten to the point where he can't give us all those innings where he ate those innings before? I don't know. Christopher Sanchez, love him. Aaron Nola, have no idea what we're going to get. Jesus Luzardo, yes. But after him, you got Taijuan, you got Painter. Both major question marks. I hate the way that feels. I hate the way it feels that we didn't get Harrison Bader. But then I'm trying to self-examine. Like, am I crazy for Bader to where I'm not evaluating that fairly? Harrison Bader is 31 years old. Adolis Garcia, he's only 25. Adolis Garcia hit.
No, he's not. He's older than that.
Are you sure?
Who are we talking about?
Adolis Garcia.
Check it out.
No,
Maybe 26, 27?
Closer to 30. I'll check.
We'll check.
I'm telling you, when I looked, he was young. He was much younger.
Well, he's older in the last couple of days.
Oh,
He's
has
32 years old.
Oh, really? Well,
32.
Then he's hit. How about this? He hit 39 home runs in 2023.
I know.
That is a boost we could use. I would have liked to have had Harrison Bader because he gave us a boost emotionally last year.
And just was good.
Oh, sure. But what I hear is he was better last year than he's ever been.
Yeah.
Now, I think he made this team better. I think him being better, his confidence lifted all other boats around him. So I think we could have used that. Unfortunately, he's now a San Francisco Giant. Once again, it does feel like we missed in a lot of ways this offseason, but with the spending that we are putting out there, third or fourth most in all of baseball, I can't give us an F.
All right, so I agree with John. I think it was very reasoned perspective, one that I appreciate, and certainly will take your phone calls on at 215-592-9494. To be clear, I wish they had done more, and the frustration lies in the lineup. Look, they lost my favorite Phil, and I can deal with it because we could all see it coming. There was no spot for Ranger unless they traded Luzardo or did not elevate Painter. And there's big arguments to not do them. I can accept the Ranger thing. Although it stinks and it's a bummer, I can accept it. What really stinks more is not having a better solution for the lineup for what is going to feel like the fourth or fifth year of this kind of stuff. And really, Bohm is the epitome of it. Because he's a third baseman. He typically bats in the top four. He's been the guy, I think, for 2 years they've been looking to get off, haven't been able to. And so, here we go again. And that is aggravating. Obviously, it was almost Bichette. It wasn't. We all know the deal. Here's the way I grade it out. First off, let me just say I apologize to all the dogs and cats out there. They're going to shriek today as Seltzer shrieks, okay? Seltzer shrieks leads to animals shrieking. So I just apologize right from the start of the show. And he gets very tempestuous and all that kind of. He's a very emotional guy. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just speaking truth, man.
Okay.
They got closer to missing the playoffs than winning the World Series this offseason.
Here's the deal. So there's some things, as I just articulated, that they did not do well. Let's talk about what they did do well. They retained a 56 home run hitter. I mean, I've seen a lot of off seasons in Philadelphia sports, and I'm sorry, say that
That's
again?
expensive.
Yes, it is. And also important. I've seen a lot of times where our teams, I saw an off-season where the Eagles lost Reggie White. I saw an off-season where the Eagles lost Seth Joyner and Clyde Simmons in the same off-season. I mean, I saw an off-season where the Sixers lost Jimmy Butler. I've seen some whoppers, all right? I saw an off-season where the Sixers lost Moses Malone.
But you can't compare this.
56 homers costs a pretty penny.
No, not yet. So they retained a 56 home run hitter. And people like James act like that doesn't count. Of course it counts. It could have been way worse. That's number one.
We retained the best catcher in baseball.
So let's get to that.
He's not the best catcher in baseball.
He's not now. But let's get to that. I'm glad.
We say that when it suits our
argument.
No.
But here's where I'm at.
He's not even close
He's not
anymore.
currently. But I'm glad he's here. My team has a shot to win the World Series. I'll sign up for JT being my catcher. Are they going to deal with it on the back end? Sure. Year 3, not ideal. Not ideal. He's going to be in his higher 30s, year 3. Not ideal. But would I rather have that when I'm knocking on the door to try to break through and win a World Series than pivot to some guy who's the 20th best catcher in baseball? Yes. So I am glad they have JT. Let's talk about Crawford and Painter. Guys, we've been waiting a long time. We don't have to wait much longer. About a month. We're going to see Crawford and Painter in the major leagues. And I'm excited. And people like James act like, it doesn't count. Or like it's too little too late. Or I don't even know what the argument is. We've been waiting for these guys. We're finally about, and I'm not saying credit to them for in the offseason giving them the job. I think that makes sense. But it actually is fresh blood. They did, I will say they ran it back, but I'm not going to say they haven't given you some new blood. I mean, Crawford and Painter are two of the more heralded prospects they've had in a long time. So I am excited to see them, and it was wise to elevate them. So, and the final thing I'll say is, I wish they had a better player than Garcia out there in right field. At least they didn't clog it up for the future. That's what they were trying to avoid with Bader, was clogging it up for 2 or 3 years. We don't know what moves on the horizon after that, and they were trying to not clog it up. Now, is Marsh aggravating? Yes. He had a nice second half of the season last year. I wish he was better. I'm frustrated he's not. But to net this offseason out as an F, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment that Seltzer thinks they got enough.
Embarrassment that you just defend the Phillies like this. But where's this energy with the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl a year ago and you destroyed them?
I give you
the
my
Phillies
opinion.
have not won anything. I will say this again, and this is factual. The Phillies got closer to missing the playoffs this offseason than to winning the World Series. That's a fact, man.
So let me give you another fact, ladies and gentlemen. James Seltzer forgets the 75% of his life when the season was over in mid-February.
No, see, you're misunderstanding my whole point, man. This is not an offseason in a vacuum. This is not like this offseason versus the 2005 offseason versus the 2002 offseason. This is, where is this team situated right now, and what is the goal of this team? This was an offseason about winning the World Series. That was the whole goal of this offseason, and they got way further away from it. So it
wasn't the whole goal.
It's all about perspective. It is for us. It is for fans. The whole goal is win the World Series. I don't know what your goal is. My goal is to win the World Series.
My goal is both.
Okay. Well,
World Series and long term. That's why Crawford's here.
I care about long term too, but they split the difference. They didn't go either way. They could have planned for the future and not signed Kyle Schwarber and not signed JT. Instead, they tried to do both, and it was the worst possible path they could have taken.
Howie tells us we can do both.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Howie tells us we can do both.
Baseball's a very different sport than football. You could turn around. We just saw a team that won 10 games last year and a team that won 4 in the Super Bowl.
Look,
that doesn't happen in baseball.
215-592-9494. Where do you stand on this topic? How would you grade out the Phillies offseason? I give them a C. James gives them an F.
I give them a C minus.
Okay. Who's right?
James is.
215-592-9494.